Hello and welcome to Diana's Makerspace. Well, today two of the Barbies went out with me to Barnes and Noble. We had a latte. We looked at some magazines. We looked at Vogue Fashion. Also, we stopped at Michael's to shop and pick up some yarn. Taking the bus, going around. What's an interesting thing about this, though? Well, what happens for me when I took the Barbies to Barnes and Noble? Normally, if I don't go with friends out like that, though, it's nice. The Barbies were good company, made me feel better because sometimes when I go alone, sometimes I feel basically I'm being stared at because some people know how to trigger my ADHD, and when I was there, I felt calmer than I normally do when I go out alone like that, though. Even to Barnes and Noble because sometimes I'm easily picked out because basically I'm a tall woman, and some people say, "Well, is that really a man or a woman?" And what happens when I had the Barbies with me? There wasn't anything like that. Everyone kept to their own business, kept to their own stuff like that, though. And also, what happens when I went into stores? A lot of people smiled. Also, another thing is, I went before that. I went out with a friend to Wendy's, and we had in the Barbies joined Lon and I for lunch as the Barbies were watching TV, and while Lon and I were eating lunch like that, though. So it's a wonderful thing. I started this on Saturday. I've had very positive results with it. And something else I'd like to say too is currently, there's a trend basically where people buy AI companions for $5,000 or $9,000 to take out with them and go out. And this was even mentioned in a documentary on RT a few years ago about people having life-size dolls at home or basically life-size AI companions at home like that to help out with stuff or just be companions, listen, read, just keep track of appointments or something. Um, so basically, for me, basically, I don't have any AI companions, so the Barbies are my companions. And it's nice, basically, I can take the Barbies out. I take them out two at a time because it's easier for me to do that with my purse. And today it really felt nice to go out, look through some magazines, and other people who were there just did their stuff. And in some ways, it's basically nice because even when I go someplace and there's a group of people, sometimes you can feel lonely in a group. And this way, the Barbie stuff made me not feel lonely like that. Though the other thing is also it stops people from picking on you because if people see that basically you have the Barbies are like having two friends with you. People realize, well, wait a minute, you're not a loner in that though. So it's another way to do this. A big reason why I did this is I wanted to do social experiment. When I listen to the news media, I hear about sometimes one party being not as open minded to different sets of culture, another party claiming they're very liberal. Well, we've seen this liberal city, so I wanted to take the Barbies on a test to see just how liberal it is. I took the Barbies on the bus today. Went to Wendy's, went to Barnes and Noble, went to Michael's, had a great experience. Even when I was walking across the mall to catch the bus to head back, I had a great experience like that, though. I'm going to do this on a regular basis. I made a special Barbie pouch, and today basically Barbie and Anastasia joined me on a coffee date at Barnes and Noble. So basically, um, and I'm going to take others in the Barbie house as well, like that. There are 17 other members, and I'd encourage everyone else because the Barbie movie allowed us Barbie owners to come out. Also, what happens? Just remember. With school boards. Um, Even in Kenosha, where they had, I was looking to see how much Kenosha culture's changed compared to when I was raised in Kenosha. Even in 2023, parents had to take the school board to a federal court so that their sons and daughters could wear leggings to class and eliminate the sexist dress codes. So basically, clothes are not considered gender assigned now, based on federal interpretation by the federal courts. Clothes are not considered gender assigned. So if boys want to wear a skirt to school, boys want to wear a dress to school, they can. They can't be sent back. And also, they're not allowed to be teased or bullied. Or same consequently, if girls want to wear leggings, or girls want to wear pants, also they have a right not to be bullied. and also not to be proposition, because it's like a cosplay. Just because someone's wearing a certain outfit, that doesn't give permission. Again, a cosplay is because someone wears a different outfit and the federal courts have reassert this as well like that though. So people who try to say, well, we're trying to know what happens, permission you have to ask for. So basically, especially in various types of specialized romantic or other extra romantic situations like that though, no matter what the age like that though. So I was glad I thought take the Barbies out, and had a great time. And also I'm going to do this on a regular basis. And also for the Barbies, this gives them a chance to get out of the house because they've been in the house for so long. And now today was a nice day, it's 60 degrees. So now the Barbies are out. When they would get out, they can share with other members like that in the sorority house as to how everything went. Um, the thing is, express yourself. Also, don't be afraid to have play. You don't have to be so serious all the time. You don't have to be on for business all the time. That's part of the reason why I brought the Barbies with me, because I wanted to show people you don't have to be on for business all the time. Because even when I was out, I saw a lot of people looking. They thought, and then they smiled, and they realized. They said, "Yeah, it's good. It's good to have a playful nature. It's good to have play. It's good to have dreaming and stuff like that, though." Because sometimes I worry in this culture with everyone connected to their cell phones and becomes part of their appendages and the hive mind of always checking on internet as to what you're doing and everything. Um, Please, the internet can live without you for a while. So can your cell phone. Your cell phone. Another thing, what I do with my cell phone is I have two cell phones. Let me just get one here. This is my second cell phone. Um, what happens? This has Wi-Fi. This has internet. But guess what? Guess what I've done the last month? I turned off the Wi-Fi. I turned off internet. I turned off location. The only thing I use this cell phone for is either calling or texting. No internet access, no Wi-Fi access at all. So basically, I use this as an old-fashioned cell phone prior to 2007, where basically you just had text and access. And that's what I do with this phone from where I'm filming. I shut off internet. I shut off Wi-Fi too because you got to break away. You got to give yourself time. I'm from the generation that grew up basically starting in the late '60s, mostly through the '70s, and graduated high school in the early '80s. I was taught computers when I was 7 years old by my dad because my family taught taught me basically by the old European method. You pass it down from family to family. So that's how I was taught engineering. That's how I was taught science, and also mathematics as well. In addition to traditional education, also at that time, homeschooling wasn't something that was talked about. But also, my mother was a teacher, but she didn't become a teacher in Milwaukee School District at that time because she thought the teachers union was more about politics and teaching students. So she actually would homeschool students, and I was also homeschooled as well, in addition to going to regular school. So basically, I had two school curriculums. And the point why I'm making though is during that time, um, I had my first actual computer, which was a programmable calculator in 1975 when I was about 13 years old. I learned how to do mathematical games. I actually played some, and also how to do computer games using random numbers. And then eventually I got TI 994, Osborne One, um, basically Radio Shack laptop, leading edge. Then the IBM PC Pentium, and but by that time I started moving into Linux. However, even during that time, like when I would have my two dogs, we had the computer set up in a study in the library. But sometimes my two dogs, Chip and Blackie, let me get Chip and Blackie for you. This is Blackie. Blackie's fur is not black, but he has the same type of fur. But Blackie was a Fox Terrier Welsh Courtney mix, but he had this type of fur, but it's the softness that. And this is Chipper because He looks like it because Chipper would always be like this whenever Blackie was guarding the house. Chipper would always be behind him to give Blackie confidence. And then also when we go to bed, Blackie would sit at the foot of the bed while I was sleeping. Chipper would sit right here so we could watch both of us. And what my two dogs is when I used to use the computer in the 90s and even in the 80s, what happens, my two dogs sometimes would come and go, and it'd be like, well, don't you need to take a break? Shouldn't you take a break? And then they'd walk away, and then Blake go, woof, woof, and I go, okay, all right. And that was there for me to take a break, and that's very important because pets are very intuitive. Like when I see YouTube videos, I see pets coming to YouTube videos, some cats and dogs, and that's what the cat is saying. Said, so well, why don't you take a break for a few minutes? Just pause the camera and come back to it a little bit later. And that's why I'm saying that's why I took the Barbies out today. Have a little fun. You don't always have to be connected to the hive, and you don't have to do other things. And I saw an interesting thing where someone on YouTube did a reboot of Nightlighter where Michael and Kid are sent to Los Angeles of 2024. And I got a kick out a few comments, but one of them was, well, Michael saying, well, they have all these devices that they're holding in the hands, like their appendages, and they keep talking into them, tapping them. And he says, yes, Michael, this is the hive mind culture of internet today. Internet? Well, it's like networking like we had in the 80s, but it's more that it's biometrically, everyone's biometric. So you mean like they're almost like zombies? Yeah. It says, oh God, it says, I can't wait to get back to 1984. And then the other thing what happens there on the highway, and on the LA highway, and the speed limit was 45. Michael from Nightlighter being a former policeman and an honest policeman, he followed the speed limit. So Kit was going about 46, so which is appropriate. The speed limit just based upon the air measurement of the speedometer. Well, everyone else was passing him, going 70 and giving him different types of funny salutes in the finger and other stuff. And Michael says, God, what happened? He says, well, these people are sent to break down the society. And then finally Michael gets up and can't get off the highway, and one person's following too close. And what happens, he has a boom in his car like this. He says, well, are we here? He says, no, Michael. Basically, our car has a 25 mile per hour bumper. But the other person who hit us, they're not hurt, but they're gonna experience pain from the wall or having to pay for the dance. So he said we can drive away, and they drove away. But showed the other car completely mangled in front because most cars nowadays only have a 1 or 2 mile an hour bumper compared to the 25 mile an hour per bumper we had in our cars in the 80s and 90s like that though. So that's why when I do get a car again, I like to get a 90s car that has a stronger bumper. However, in conclusion though, it's fun to go out with the Barbies, and also it's fun to take your toys with you because Barbie movie allowed adults to bring their Barbies and play with their toys. And when I went to Barnes & Noble, I had a great time. Everyone was welcoming. So have fun, take your toys, disconnect for a while. And also, don't be afraid to bring your Barbies, even to school like that, or something else like that, or your college class. Have fun. Don't be so serious all the time. Because the corporate world wants you to be serious. They want you to be a quant. They want you to be a cog. Get back to being a human being. Get back to being a human being. Get back to being a human being. Well, this has been Diana's Makerspace. Let me know what you think, and I'll try to respond to comments as fast as I can. Sometimes with my health, it's a little bit hard. So thanks again for listening, and I'll see you soon.